A Song of Grace is about a 12-year-old classical music composer from Brooklyn named Grace Moore and her relationship with her mother, who has helped her to achieve great things at a very young age. As a storyteller, as a Black femme, I have been raised by a family of powerful, strong, persistent Black women, and those are the stories that I want to tell. So to have this film premiere at Tribeca is a huge deal, and I'm so grateful for the Queen Collective and P&G for allowing me this opportunity. I want us to get to a place where Black stories are not marginalized within the canon of storytelling, where we are a part of the universal human experience, and we are understood as unique and special, and being Black is just one facet of our identity. The more you have a diverse collective of people telling stories, the better the stories will be, and the deeper our understanding of our shared humanity will be.
I made a movie called Ballet After Dark about a young woman named Tide Courtney Edwards. Unfortunately, she had a horrific event happen to her, and from there, she created an organization to help sexual abuse survivors find healing after trauma. I want to make sure that I am telling her story in an authentic way. Film allows you to feel the things that other people feel, but I'm always a person who doesn't want to just show Black women or women of color, people of color, just being victims. To me, I'm very interested in showing us as victors. Queen Collective is putting their money where their mouth is. We got mentorship, we got exposure. Our films went to Tribeca and just different platforms that you just don't hear of documentary short films going to. Documentary filmmakers of color are doing some incredible work. And I'm like, yes, we need more of us. Imagery is just such a powerful tool, and I'm so glad that I get to do this for a living.
We're going to introduce you to a 12-year-old girl who's already an accomplished musician and composer. So accomplished, the New York Philharmonic just performed one of her pieces. News 4 has this pitch-perfect story.
When Grace was in the womb, I knew that at a certain point, she was able to hear everything. I knew that all the sounds that you're exposed to when you're in the womb can affect you later on in life. So I kept everything as peaceful and calm as I could, just a whole lot of laughter. I wanted her to come into the world with a clean slate. I would play her all kinds of music, Coltrane and Dolly Parton and Bach and reggae and African music. I would say I had an incredibly painful childhood. My mother left us when I was very young. I remember her leaving us on the porch at my father's relative's home. When I finally had a daughter of my own, I wanted to really embrace the chance to do things right. Security and love and compassion.
I give you 2 inches more.
I thought these are the things that I want to give to Grace.
You did? Good. Did you make your bed? Yeah. Excellent. Do you care for some?
We changed schools fairly often because we had a hard time finding one that was right for her. She was quiet and sensitive and did things at her own speed in her own brilliant way. They thought that possibly that meant that there was something wrong with her, but it was in fact that it was just too easy for her. I realized that the schools had no expectation for her success. They had no plan for her success and no understanding of the type of abilities that my little gifted Black girl had. The hardest part after that was simply getting people to believe that she's capable. She deserves to be in these spaces just as much as the white children.
Mom,
Yes, Grace?
why did you buy me a piano?
Why did I buy you a piano? I bought you a piano because you have this natural gift to be able to place your hands without knowing how to play the piano. But you put your hands in such a way. One day we were somewhere and it was completely natural. So I decided, well, let's just get one of those toy pianos and have you practice what seemed to come naturally to you.
Change the Name is a short documentary that follows a group of educators and students as they work to get a park renamed on the west side. Douglas Park is not just a little park, it's one of the major parks in the city of Chicago. It's named after Stephen A. Douglas, a man who enslaved 123 folks, and they are organizing to get it renamed after Anna and Frederick Douglass. If you were just to read a line to say there were 13-year-olds who changed one of the names of a major park, people wouldn't believe it. And it's like, I have the proof in this film that this is what happened. So the reason I wanted to tell this story is so that their work could never be questioned. The Queen Collective is in its third year and is a partnership between P&G, Procter & Gamble, and Tribeca Studios to support women filmmakers of color. We came together to make this film in this new and big way and to have it premiere at the Tribeca Film Festival. It'll be a really beautiful experience to see it in an audience with other people. And now that it's gonna have this wide, TV release with BET is really exciting.
Among wolves, when a wolf mother nurses her pups, she and they spend much time lazing about. Everyone slumps over everyone else in a great puppy pile. The outer world and the world of challenges are far away. However, when the wolf mother finally trains the pup to hunt and forage, she shows them her teeth, more often than not. She snaps and demands they keep up. She shoves them down if they don't do what she requires. And so it is, in order to pursue further development, that we exchange the hovering internal mother, which was so apt for us when we were young, for another kind of mother, one who lives even deeper in the psychic wilderlands, one who is both escort and teacher. She is a loving mother, but also fierce and demanding.
Sometimes when I'm daydreaming or walking to the bus or just doing something random, I think of melodies for my pieces.
she's thinking of music because she gets like super focused and it's like there's this trance that she gets into, and I know that that's the sweet spot when she's creating.
Mom,
Yes, Grace?
who do you want me to be?
I want you to be whoever you would like to be. I want to be sure that even though people may say that you're tall or you're black or you're a female, I want to make sure that you are who you wish to be, whatever is in your heart. I want you to know that you have power to be whoever it is you choose.
A 12-year-old girl is making history as one of the youngest composers for the New York Philharmonic Symphony Orchestra.
Music is universal. It doesn't matter where you are or where you're from. Everyone can understand it. I haven't really seen many people who look like me on stage.
And today, we have a world premiere, never heard before this weekend. It was written by a very special composer who's part of the Very Young Composers program, and she's here with us tonight. Please welcome Grace Moore.
Mom,
Yes, Grace?
how do you feel when you hear my music?
When I hear your music, it feels as though you're playing exactly what you need to play.
Bravo, think about.
Grace Moore, everyone.
My film, Black Birth, is premiering at Tribeca, and it's about 3 expectant Black mothers, including myself. It explores the typical joys and fears and excitements that come along with being an expectant mother, but additionally, the unique fears and challenges that exist for Black mothers. Black mothers are 2 to 3 times more likely to die of pregnancy-related causes than their white counterparts. So when I became pregnant, that knowledge was also on the back of my mind. I've been able to make this film as part of the Queen Collective and the support of P&G. The initiative to widen the screen, I think, is really beautiful, and the Queen Collective does that by bringing together Black female filmmakers who are telling a range of stories about people that we don't always hear about. I'm humbled that I get to bring a story like Black Birth to a platform like Tribeca. I delivered this film literally a week after I delivered my son. Both things I'm incredibly grateful and excited about.
Gloves Off is a movie about a fighter, police officer, and woman of color who was always up for the fight and gave it her all in every aspect that she did. My name is Tierra Brown, former DC police officer, getting ready to be a Florida police officer, and I'm also a professional boxer. I had received an email from Uganda and Nadine. They were directing a film which would be produced by Queen Latifah. So of course I'm like checking the email to make sure it didn't come from spam. The snap of a finger, I'm like, yes, whatever you guys are doing, I want to be a part of it. They did a great job in working with the tools that they had. They were always upbeat and good spirit, and they just wanted to get the job done and do a great job doing it, and I commend both of them. I've been boxing for 19 years now. I won gold in China, bronze in Korea. Now I'm a professional fighter. In anything that you do, you can relate it to boxing because you always have to give it everything you've got. It's very important to get more women of color on film because we have great stories. We have to go above and beyond in all that we do just to have equal playing field sometimes.
I directed Tangled Roots. It follows Attica Scott, the only Black woman state representative in Kentucky, as she battles hair discrimination. I went to a predominantly white high school, and they had a rule in the handbook that said that men couldn't have cornrows or dreadlocks. 10 years later, I just checked my student handbook again, and they had the same rule. And I was like, who's doing something about this? This can't be right. I found an op-ed written by a young woman named Ashanti Scott, who basically had the same exact experience I had. And what was amazing is that she, together with her mom and her friends, managed to have the rule overturned. And then at the end of the op-ed, she said, and now my mom is fighting to take this legislation statewide. I think the biggest thing the Queen Collective does is that it prioritizes stories from marginalized filmmakers. You're making these films with a cohort of other women of color, and we've all faced the same kinds of challenges. I love that I've been able to continue working on issues that really align with my values and really kind of came out of what I did for the Queen Collective.
BET Her presents the Queen Collective Films. We're bringing you 4 powerful films directed by emerging women filmmakers. All from the film program designed by Tribeca Studios, Procter & Gamble, and the Queen herself.
What I saw from these brilliant young women is the future.
Queen Collective.
Queen Collective.
Queen Collective.
The Queen Collective is in its 3rd year.
They're taking real chances on people.
It prioritizes stories from marginalized filmmakers.
The initiative to widen the screen, I think, is really beautiful, bringing together Black female filmmakers who are telling a range of stories.
You're making these films with a cohort of other women of color, and we've all faced the same kinds of challenges.
I got an email from one of the producers at Tribeca asking if I wanted to submit a proposal.
I had received an email from Uganda and Nadine. They were directing a film which would be produced by Queen Latifah. So of course I'm like checking the email to make sure it didn't come from spam.
Then I started doing more research and discovered this amazing group of women who had already created through the collective and was super eager to also be a part of that.
Snap of a finger, I'm like, yes, whatever you guys are doing, I want to be a part of it.
Queen Collective is putting their money where their mouth is.
Having their backing does so much for us.
Access and money are real barriers in this industry. It's really amazing to be, 26 and receive a 6-figure budget to do a short documentary.
We got mentorship, we got exposure. Our films went to Tribeca and just different platforms that you just don't hear of documentary short films going to.
Being able to premiere at Tribeca Film Festival, which is a top-tier festival, does mean a lot going forward in my career.
If it weren't for the Queen Collective, I don't think I would have been where I am today or as well prepared. I love the kind of bravery that the program has.
I was always told that people like me didn't play video games, especially being a Black woman. Even now, I hear that, and it's ridiculous. It's hard because I love video games. I just wish they loved me back in the same way. Gaming is for everyone, and it's not a catchphrase. It's important giving visibility and a voice to people who think they don't belong. I'm at One Shot Studio, where we normally film Rivals of Waterdeep. This was pre-COVID, but you know, now that COVID's a thing, we are mostly remote. Rivals of Waterdeep is an actual play D&D show. We started in June 2018.
Hey, everybody. This is Rivals of Waterdeep. Hi.
Hello.
Hey, welcome to season 6 of our Dungeons & Dragons show.
D&D stands for Dungeons and Dragons. It is a high fantasy role-playing game where you can be anything you would like. You could be dragonborn, you could be human. Tabletops are role-playing games played usually in person, but with the current state of the world, online. And a tabletop role-playing game is usually you have a character sheet where you've given your character stats, a backstory, equipment, armor, gear, and you are telling that story with anywhere from one other person to maybe 6 or 7 other people, and your party or your group sets out on an adventure. Before I hit go live and meet everyone, the order is me, Latia, Masood on the top row, Sharif, Brian, Eugenio on the bottom row. When we play Rivals of Waterdeep, whether it's in person or online, we stream to Twitch.
I'm excited, I am nervous, but I know once we go live, everything is gonna be like golden because I know that y'all are gonna give me really good energy and I'm gonna give y'all really good energy. And whatever I have planned is going out the window immediately because that's the kind of party we are.
Let's get ready to roll some dice.
Heck yeah. Previously on Rivals of Waterdeep.
Waterdeep.
Whoosh. Yes.
It's perfect.
We're doing what is called a homebrew with Rivals of Waterdeep. We are taking the existing worlds that have already been built over 46 years and modifying it to fit your own people, your own cultures, your own races with D&D, and doing what you want to do and having a good time with it. You are a tall bird. How are you hiding?
I'm not tall. Dahani is short. Dahani is like 4 feet tall.
I always thought she was like tall as me, the way she acts.
She has small person energy.
Okay. State of tabletop with Black people and minorities breaking in. It's still abysmal. I could probably count maybe on 2 hands the number of Black developers. So many people see, oh, you're a Black developer, so I guess I can't play your game. This must be a Black game. Instead of thinking, oh, cool, you're making a tabletop game. This is really dope. I want to play it. We've had to play elves and orcs and everything else for like 45 years of D&D, and no one has cared that we couldn't connect with that either.
Let's go around and introduce our cast.
Hey, y'all. I am your now blood hunter, Celisa Storio, with a little bit of paladin mixed in. This is Celisa Storio, my D&D character. When I created her, I wanted to show an older character because we never really see older characters. Also, very intentionally made her brown skin And then her hair was natural, it's locks, which she keeps in a French braid to keep out of the way. It was super important for me to have representation with my D&D character. Hello. I have very few games where I can actually have my hair. This is what I get to have for my hair in games. I don't know why the apocalypse, everyone just thinks dreadlocks is just what's gonna happen, because dreadlocks take maintenance. Clearly they didn't listen to any black folks.
Voila.
I actually started playing D&D with the first edition, the Red Book, as people say. And I had to sneak and go do that because my mom firmly believed in the satanic panic of the time. It was a lot of sneaking out with friends and rolling dice. My mom was very much do your homework first. Video games are for kids. She just really didn't see any value in it and just saw it as like a waste of time. My family upbringing and background was on the south side of Chicago. Even though we lived in a middle-class neighborhood, we were on public assistance, we were on food stamps, stuff like that. It was a lot of struggle. It was a lot of making money stretch month to month. It was the usual, like, being a kid and feeling like you're the broke one in the neighborhood. Kids are vicious. You know, you can't afford a Nintendo, you can't afford Coleco. It made me feel really crappy, but, you know, I did have some friends that had means, and they let me come and hang out. For me, game arcades were super important. I'm of the age that most games were in arcades first, well before we saw them on home systems. And the version that we got on home systems wasn't anywhere near what I could go play in arcade. But it was also just a refuge. It was someplace where I could just go chill, go enjoy stuff, go, you know, get in a driving game and roam around the country, or go play Street Fighter, go play Contra, or any of these games where I get to be the hero. I started to notice the lack of representation probably in my late teens, early 20s. Because, you know, like, I love fighting games, and that's where we'd usually see maybe a black dude, like always a big, burly boxer, or somebody that is clearly just out there to fight. We rarely saw black women in games. And if black women were in games, they got killed easily, or they were prostitutes, or they were just like a placeholder. They weren't part of the plot, they weren't the main character. I didn't see a game with a black woman on the cover until I was in my 30s. And even then, people wanted to argue and say, why do you care? Stop bringing politics into games. It was like, well, I'm black all the time. I don't know what to tell you. I was just annoyed at no change. And I just tweeted out, I need diverse games. It was the viral tweet of the day. It caught on with a lot of developers, a lot of other folks that saw that, and they're like, oh, this is really important. I too feel this way. And so they shared it, trended for a couple days on Twitter. And from that, people were like, yeah, let's keep the conversation going. From a hashtag to a community on Tumblr, a blog, a podcast, to now a nonprofit organization that gets people into conventions and conferences. We exist at intersections of our identities. The main message when I'm doing panels is that inclusion is the future of gaming. At some point, people have to realize that our money is just as green. Everybody wants to play around with race until it's time to really be about race. Everybody wants to be black and use AV and all this other stuff, or come to the table and go, it's a fantasy. It's okay if I have slaves in my game, right? We want to erase the stigma that diversity means less quality. I Need Diverse Games is all about getting people in the door and in a seat and keeping them there. How do we get there? How do we become more diverse and make it so this isn't a constant fight? I Need Diverse Games does things like send people to the Game Developer Conference. We aim to give our scholarships and our passes to people who are marginalized in some way and otherwise would never get a chance to go. Black developers make up less than 2% of the whole industry. We need to get people in the door, make them feel safe, make them feel wanted, and give them professional development. Actually treat them like they matter. So many of my colleagues, when they are working in studios, they'll vent about, hey, I brought up this thing and this really bad depiction of a woman. And I got told, oh, that's just how video games are. The folks in charge need to take it seriously, and we need to see the percentage of Black women in the industry rise. The gaming industry is enriched by having people of color.
Maybe we just need to shoot and then I'll move the shield around so that...
Oh, just batter our way through it?
Well, no, actually we should try that. Oh. My husband got into the video game industry first, and he was working at EA. So I kind of, in some ways, rode my husband's coattails into the industry. It's a hard environment to work in. It's hard to be a woman. It's hard to be a Black woman because you're very by yourself. I think there were maybe 5 Black women working at my location, and I was tired of not seeing myself represented behind the scenes as much as on screen. I did get in a lot of trouble at one point because I asked, hey, we have literally a staff of 2.5 people who are specifically there to handle diversity and inclusion, and we have 9,000 employees. I'm just how is that really a balance? The VP was a white woman, and she gave me this long spiel about, all of the things that EA was doing. And I'm just I can tell you sitting here as a Black woman who works for this company that I feel none of that. I can tell you that as a player who regularly plays our video games, I feel none of that. It was basically a half hour of me being white-splained to. It was an ugly experience, and that was kind of the beginning of the end for me. I didn't get fired. I didn't get, demoted. None of that happened, but I just reached a point where I couldn't deal with it anymore. I needed to go find something else that I could do. Meanwhile, Gamergate was happening, which was an online harassment campaign specifically targeted against women in the gaming community. It was awful, especially, if you are a woman, let alone a woman of color online. People just send the ugliest things. I still love games. They're still a wonderful part of my life. I connect with them more now that I don't feel that frustration of working in the industry. Tanya is working with different studios to try and help them create games that are for us as much as for other people.
It is time to journey into a blacker future with Into the Motherlands, an all-new game and streaming experience from the mind of Tanya DePass. Brought to you by Twitch, we have some of the best and brightest POC creators behind the scenes and in front of the cameras. It is really going to be something special. We cannot wait for you to see it. Buckle up, y'all. We are going into a much brighter, much blacker future.
Into the Motherlands was a new sci-fi venture. It's Afrofuturist. It's something no one had done before. 12 episodes, 3 hours each. This is the first time Twitch is supporting an African-American RPG developer, let alone a woman.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. Welcome back to the season finale of Into the Motherlands. My name is Eugenio Vargas. I am DM Jazzy Hands, and I'm going to be your storyteller for this evening. Thank you so much for being here.
For me, the opportunity to make Into the Motherlands has been amazing. I never thought I would get a chance to make my own game ever. I got a chance to create a world that I wanted to see, that I wanted to play in, and to bring people that normally don't get that kind of opportunity to the table to write, to be on screen.
Our leader, our creative director, the person who made this all possible, the person whose channel we take over every Sunday night, the one who brought us aboard, the one who came up with the idea for all of this and the reason that we're here. Hi, Tanya, how you doing?
You're gonna make me cry, you bastard.
We've completed season 1, and now we're working on this setting book to go out into the world so everyone can play in the world that we've created. I hope it's well received. I hope that people enjoy playing in the sandbox that we built. This is the first thing I'm making. This is the story we got to tell, and even if we don't get another season, you all have made me beyond proud and honored. And I don't say this lightly, because those of you who know me know this. I love each and every one of you. So thank you.
Tanya has really put her drive and passion behind something that a lot of people only talk about. A lot of people say, yeah, like we need A and B, but like a Tanya is like one of those rare folks that like actually says, okay, let's make this happen.
Reflecting on Rebels Waterdeep, Into the Motherlands. If I could have seen even a fraction of that as a kid, it would have made such a world of difference. I would have felt like there was a place for me. I would have felt like I belonged. I just hope that what we're doing gives younger Black and brown folks that same thing that I didn't get as a kid and a teen.